Peace, 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 everyone. Alright, so we are back. This week I decided to do a video on the crystal art of the week. I had a request to talk about the crystal art. People have been asking me to do that for a while, so so I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So I'm gonna talk to you all while I make this order for someone, for a couple of people actually. I just finished my collection for this week. And what's in this collection, you all know that I make things, unique pieces. Sometimes it's based off the energy of one order. Most of the time it's based off the energy of like the seasons or the planetary alignments in which I'm doing them. And I'll talk a little bit about that during in the newsletters when I send out the crystal art of the week. I want to talk about a few things. Starting off with one of the reasons why I started doing crystal art. I've been actually collecting crystals since I was like 8 years old, if not younger. I actually still have crystals from that age that I kept safe for that long. And they have been with me and traveled with me, or went stagnant for a little bit depending on where I was. But those it's funny because the one of the crystals that I tend to work with, if you all been following me, is pyrite, and that's one of the crystals that I put a lot in my work. It's a very protective crystal. I love it because to me, when I was younger, because that was my first crystal, I thought that it was actually gold. And when I read about it, I found out it was, fool's gold. And I really didn't know about the properties, but I love the way it looked. I love the way it glimmered and glamored. And I've always been, drawn to things of high quality and royalty. So I like that crystal. And it does bring in prosperity, abundance, and protection. So I use that a lot in my art. It's just a really good, it resonates with the solar plexus chakra, which deals with the channel and the energy of, I talked a little bit about that last week, solar, like the solar energy. So the vital energy, some of that vital energy that we need to keep ourselves going, that we need to be able to manifest things, so that we can sustain the things that we are asking for, right? And so that's why I put that into my art, so that it's all about the vitality, it's all about the confidence, it's all about the prosperity, the abundance, and then protecting that in that shell, in that case. And it also has this illusion of it looking like gold, but not being gold, but still being very valuable in its own unique way. So it in itself is protective of that, because it's like, oh, I'm not quite what you think I am, but it's a lot underneath here. And I think that's why I resonate with that crystal a lot and why I use it a lot. So yeah, that's the backstory of the crystals. And it was a really beautiful way for me to connect with the earth. I used to go on these travels, and even in my neighborhood, just going looking for like shining little rocks and crystals and collecting them. I even grew some. It was like my little science project when I was younger, and I just enjoy everything about crystals and been collecting them ever since. I wear them all the time. I have crystals all over me. I usually have them in my ears as well. But it's just a really good way for me to stay connected to Mother Earth and stay connected to all of the energy and the downloads. They're like micro trips. So they all each have their individual energy source and connection to this earth, to the planets, to universal community, like alignment and communication and different things. So, and I started using them in my art because I thought it was a unique way to be able to cross boundaries with people, kind of like music. I noticed that a lot of people, especially when I first started wrapping crystals and then vending them at a local store that was owned by a sister from the Nation of Islam, and it was on the same block as the yeah. So it was during that time. I'm trying to think of like, wow, like visualizing everything. but the mosque. It was on the same block as the mosque. So we actually used to vend for that community, and so I started to get education about how certain beliefs in religion and people didn't really believe in crystals. There's certain taboos that come with that because, like most things that are that are of nature, it was seen as, like, I don't know, some type of witchcraft or whatever. Which, I couldn't get into the witchcraft thing, um, but I won't in this video. But so I started to use it in my art because I saw that it's still very useful, and it's a way for people to learn about the earth, and it's a way for people to connect with different elements of the system, and of the solar system as well. So and it worked. It worked. Like, people would pick up my art and say, "Oh, I don't believe in crystals, but I like your art." So I would I would pick that up. So I use it in that way to be able to have communication with people, have conversations with people who normally wouldn't gravitate towards this type of element. So I use it in my art, and so this week I'm using the crystals of shungite, which are the little black pieces. Shungite is not a crystal that I use a lot, which I probably will start to, because my pieces are not just art, not just crystals, but they are also the way that I've encased them. They are actually used for protection, for electromagnetic frequencies, protection against those frequencies. Electromagnetic frequencies are frequencies that resonate from like the cell phone towers, from all your electronics, from laptop, television, all of those things. So I keep these around my house as well, like all around my house, because we have smart meters, we have us going to 5G, which are very, very dangerous frequencies. Mainly dangerous because we're not used to them, and dangerous because some frequencies are very dangerous for certain species. So these protect us against those. So this is why I've used them in, like, forms of jewelry as well, because then when you're on your cell phone, this is actually protecting you, from the electric magnetic frequencies, the EMFs, because of the elements that's in here, the orgone energy that's in here. So, and shungite is one of those that you will see a lot in orgone energy. They are ancient stones. They are ancient stones that have very, very protective measures and can filter out high frequencies and vibrations of energy. They can also help with depression and anxiety. So another reason why I use certain crystals in my art, because they actually have healing properties as well. And whether or not you believe that, hey. So what I tell people is, when I'm vending these, a lot of people don't know what they are, or they just know that they're crystals or rocks or some elements or something like that, or art. And I just tell them to come and to touch them, for one, and I watch which one they usually pick up and gravitate towards. A lot of times I have more than the collection. I have a different selection of crystals. So I'm going to start making this while I'm talking to you all. So I tell them to pick them up, and then usually they gravitate right towards the one that they're needing in that moment. I tell them to either guess what it feels like, and 9 times out of 10 they're dead on. They're dead on. They say, they'll pick up a rose quartz or something maybe unfamiliar to them, and they'll say, "Oh, this feels comfortable, or this feels like love, or this feels like, I feel a little bit more confident," and they'll say it in surprise, and I was like, that's exactly what that crystal is for. So that proves, that proves to them right then and on that, it's something more than just, a pretty rock, that is actually containing some type of information. So I like to, to help to, treat people, like children. Like, come and, you know, play with them, you know, see what they feel like, what do they look like, what colors do you like, what's your favorite color, things like that. And it brings out that joy as well in that, in the art, in the elements and the crystals. So what else is in the crystal of the week is kyanite, which is actually another good stone for I'm not getting bit out here, which is another great stone for the EMF protection. Kyanite resonates with the third eye, so it really helps you to really open up and be aware and connect. Use that insight and intuition. It's another good protection one. Kyanite is one of those stones where you don't have to cleanse. It actually cleanses other stones and powers up other stones. So that's another stone that I really like to use a lot too, because the way that, although the orgone energy, the way that I've encased these, you really don't have to cleanse them. They power up themselves. So kyanite. Kyanite is a softer stone, softer crystal. It's a lot easier to break and to manipulate, which is why I like to put it in this form, in the orgone, instead of like wrapping it individually. And then what else do I have in here? I have copper, which I always put in this, because copper are conductors. They help to communicate all of those energies, and to bring in the healing sources, the healing properties of whatever elements, and they do it by themselves. You know, you will see like a lot of jewelry that have medical purposes. They have copper in them because they help with pain and arthritis and things like that. What else do I have in here? I have shungite, kyanite, copper, and I have an array of crystal, what I call crystal dust. It might be like quartz in there, or sodalite, or selenite, selenite, and a couple other things. And yeah, they don't break, so very easy unless you're trying to. So I hope you all can see that. Different. I like this series because I also use the elements of I use some other like different type of elements in here as well. So to me, this definitely resonates with. I have the blue in here, the color, which represents like the water. Since we are kind of in between winter and fall, I really wanted to bring in those elements. And I have the copper and the orange color as well. So this is like fire and water, and actually the crystals are earth. And you know, it's just beautiful, and I have all different shapes. I'm gonna make some different jewelry out of this, and gonna make some different pieces. So yeah, so that's all that's in this collection. So we have the shungite, the kyanite, we have the crystal dust, and the copper, representing the elements, and as we are in between the summer and the autumn season. So that is this week's crystal KemeticArts24 crystal collection. You all can, I will post these up, and you all can purchase what is available. A lot of this is for orders though, so I will post what is extra, what is left over. You all can get them while they're hot, because they really don't stay long once I make them, and wait for the next collection. So if you have any questions about maybe any crystals that you all have sitting at home, I do wrap, and I can make your own unique pieces as well, whether in orgone energy or just individual copper wrapping. If you want to do that, you can contact me about doing that. So peace, love, live truth. See y'all next time.